What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Investing Bros. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is for you when you're watching this. We've got a lot to discuss in this show. Bitcoin, even as I'm speaking, continues to be on a tear above 31,000. And, at this point, when are we going to reverse? I don't know. Maybe 40,000 is where we are heading. And that's a lot coming from me. You guys know I have been very bearish recently, but this Bitcoin rally, as much as I didn't think it was going to happen, has very much made my portfolio look good. The question is, how much further does it have to go? We're going to be breaking that down in the charts, talking about some stories, looking at some altcoins that are absolutely tearing it up as well. But make sure before we get into any of that, you go ahead and smash that like button and hit subscribe to the channel. We are one of the fastest growing crypto channels. Very, very soon, we're going to be up above 5,000 subscribers, but we need your help. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. I am joined today by my co-host, Mr. T. Shroom from down there in Gainesville, Florida. T. Shroom, how we feeling today?
Tim, I'm feeling better than I deserve. And I'm right there with you. I was taking some profits a couple days ago on Bitcoin, and now I'm sitting here biting my fingers.
Yeah,
Man, should I have not done that, right? Should I have gone ahead and I also have plans to buy some BitX, right? The leverage ETF through just a Robinhood, just regular brokerage account. But I've got a quote of the day because we aren't filthy rich yet, so it's very appropriate. Here we go. You can't have everything. Where would you put it? That is Stephen Wright, and he is a comedian. He was actually on Joe Rogan, I think, like a month or two ago.
Really?
Yeah, he's from like the Seinfeld era of comedians, but he still does stand up in Boston where he was from. So what do you think about that, Tim? I mean, it's a joke. It's not.
No, it's true. But yeah, where would you put everything?
True.
And also, well, here's the thing, man. Like, there's always this level of, by the way, guys, right now as we're talking, go to my chart while we're speaking, just in case this happens. We might be about to break the previous high for the day up at 31,397, just shy of 31,400. We're making a push towards it right now. So, I'll go ahead and just keep that there. But with your quote of the day, everyone says, like, if I just had this, or if I just had this, or if I just had this. But in reality, the more and more you acquire money and things, instead of being grateful, we have a tendency to more just want something else. And it's like, you can't have everything. You can't handle everything. A lot of times you end up changing your entire lifestyle the more you get. I'm sitting here right now, like, listen, I'm a married man with a child, but I have a friend who has this like van, and I'm like, oh, how cool would it be if I was still a single man just to live out of this van? It's like one of these, like,
dude,
I don't know. Just a bed in the back of it. You go wherever you want to go. You trade crypto. You set up all these Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm like, that would be simple. But
we're going to be releasing it. What that makes me think of is we're going to be releasing a video today or this week of Crypto Seth. We did a recording with him, and he's like he like went to Vietnam. He's like living there digital nomad style.
Yeah.
Caleb Franzen, we're going to be collabing with him this week as well. He like lives in Romania right now, but he's been bouncing around Europe. So, you have to. So, how do you overcome this, Tim? How do you overcome the FOMO? You have to be grateful. You have to get with those that you love and talk about what you're thankful for. And it's almost about the time of year that we do that formally around the dinner table here in the United States with a little turkey.
Very nice. Well, we do have a super chat here from Eye of the Beholder, who's been a member now for 2 months, saying, I think 37K for the current pattern. Double bottom on the daily. What are you talking about? Going all the way back to 25, or talking about double top? You mean? I don't know. I don't know what exactly you're saying here, Eye of the Beholder. But if you elaborate, we can definitely take a look at that. Before we jump in here, T-shirt, let me do some quick TA. We'll do some quick TA, but then I want to talk about some of these stories because this is going to affect some other things that we have going on. I'll just do Bitcoin TA. We'll jump into Bitcoin news, and then we'll go back into altcoin stuff. You guys ask questions, comment along the way. But as I said, we're sitting here right now kind of flirting with setting a new high for the day around 31,400. Of course, this blue line here, guys, this is what we're keeping an eye on. 31,863, give or take, is the top of the head of a head and shoulders pattern. And we are getting so dangerously close, guys. we're pushing the boundaries on if we're going to cancel out this head and shoulders pattern. I said it earlier in our Discord. So anyone who is not in our Discord, you got to get over there. We're constantly talking crypto.
You gotta.
You guys know that I am still believing, still looking at a potential for a sub $25,000 Bitcoin. You know, I have actually a T-box here. We could get maybe as high as 21,800, maybe as low as 19,300. To be fair, this head and shoulders pattern that technically is still intact, as long as we stay below 31,800 right here, that's still a right shoulder of a head and shoulders pattern, and that would give us a breakout prediction. If I were to go here, a more aggressive one would go even below my T-box here. If I were to go to my log chart, let's do that real quick and let's redraw this because you guys can see that line is very, very long. I like to stay conservative with breakout predictions of patterns. So here we go. You move it over here to breakout. That's what gives us this price action down here
20.
at $19,300. That's the aggressive one. What I'm looking at the top of this T-box is a Fibonacci. Let me get rid of this one because that's a different Fibonacci level. A Fibonacci golden pocket from the low of the bear market up to what is right now the high for the year, 31,800. And that golden pocket, let me go back to the linear chart, is going to come in right there at the top up there towards 21,800, 21,700. So is that still in play? Yes, it is. Could we reverse right now on Bitcoin and make that stay? We absolutely could. But if I told you I was very certain that was going to happen, I would be lying to you. And I've told people in Discord, as much as I still technically right now I'm holding out and saying, you know what, I cannot say with certainty we're not going sub 25,000. If we break this 31,800, if the price comes above, come on now, marker, come with me, then I would adjust my prediction for a pullback to be no lower than 25,000. Now, I say this, and you know, T-Shroom, watch something like this happen because, you know, we were one of the first channels to even talk about this head and shoulders pattern way back here all the way in August. More recently, everyone's talking about this head and shoulders pattern. Here's what that does. When a lot of people are discussing a certain pattern on a chart, that kind of gives the alternate side something to go on and say, hey, if we can just bust this formation up, we'll make everyone change their mind, right? So with everyone kind of clinging and thinking this is going to be a head and shoulders pattern, wouldn't it be ironic, T-Shroom, if the price breaks $32,000, cancels out this head and shoulders pattern, we kind of reverse somewhere here around 32.5, give or take, and then we play it out anyway, right? There's always the chance that can happen. Even though if we break 32,000, I'm going to adjust my prediction for retracement on Bitcoin to be probably more somewhere in the region of 27,000, if not low to 25. That doesn't mean there's a 0% chance we still break below 25,000. And part of the reason why is because the stories we're going to talk about that are not necessarily getting a whole lot of coverage today because everyone wants to talk about the bullish side. But it makes a lot of sense because this is just getting out of control with how bullish it is. You guys can also see right here, I drew this even early. I think I drew this late last night. You can kind of look at this broadening wedge pattern, which traditionally, guys, these break to the downside. Now, the day's not over. And even, you know, we have to kind of wait until tomorrow. If we get two green candles that close above this line on the daily chart, I do think it's a break to the upside. It could still be a fake out. More often than not, broadening wedges to the upside, usually just like rising wedges, normally break to the downside. So we got to continue to keep an eye on that as well. On top of that, again, I'm kind of covering all the bearish stuff so we can talk about the bullish stuff because you guys just need to know about this. Let's take a look at our oscillators here and look at what we have. I'm going to go ahead and start all the way up here at the 3 daily chart. Let's make sure it hasn't flashed on the 5 daily yet because last time I checked it hadn't. Yeah, so 5 daily, still technically you could make an argument that we could move to the upside. It takes a lot to move the 5 daily though. 3 daily chart. This kind of gives us an indication of the next 2-3 weeks. We have an overbought flash coming in. RSI is overextended, overbought flash coming in right here. You move down to the 2 daily. We have a nice overbought flash right here. It's going to take a second to load. We have it on the daily. And then you come on down to the 4-hour chart. We have it on the 4-hour chart. And I do believe we just recently printed, come on now, there we go, print our 4-hour. And then you come on to the 1-hour chart. I think we just printed a red triangle here a second ago, not that long ago at least. Yeah, so we have a red triangle. We are seeing every single chart printing these bearish reversal indicators, and yet the price continues to climb. Look at all of these. Look at all of these Christmas decorations, as I like to call it, and yet the price moves to the upside. I've been bearish recently. But let me tell you guys, on the hourly time frame, which tells me the rest of the day, when I look at the 4-hour time frame and how much we've ignored over here, which tells us maybe the next 48, 72 hours. This short time frame, if we regroup, that's fine. This has been extremely bullish and is a sign, even if we get a significant pullback, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. This is a sign right now that the bulls are waking up. Want to know also why they're waking up? Because the volume is super low. Now, that's another reason I'm potentially still a little bearish. I do not like that as we're breaking these resistance zones, as we continue to smash through expectation after expectation, the volume, if I zoom in like this, you might say, oh, Tim, look, the volume's picking up. In fact, a lot of times you guys are going to see the volume picks up at reversals. Look right here, this high volume right here. What did that match with? A reversal. This high volume right here, what did that match with? A reversal. Now we're picking up volume again. What's that going to mean? I don't know. There's a chance that ends up becoming bullish, but at the moment, it's probably leaning a little bit more like reversal. Instead, what you want to see here, let me go ahead and delete all these. What you want to see is strong green candles. And this is developing right now, so this could be part of it. But you want to see these strong green candles move to the upside, and the volume increase as well. And the next candle opens up, and the volume's still high, and it keeps moving to the upside. You don't want to see a one candle with one high volume, but everything around it seems to be super low. That, more often than not, is the sign of a reversal. So you got to continue to keep that in mind. We're going to talk about some stories here in just a couple of minutes that could bring that reversal. But right now, a lot of momentum for the bulls. We're still hovering right here above 31,000. The momentum is still on. And again, what we are kind of on the watching zone for right now is that technically speaking, as we zoom out, we're still sitting in a spot where we're setting a lower high and very well creating a head and shoulders pattern. If the bulls can mount just a little bit more pressure and break above this 31,800, get up towards 32,000, that's going to change the game a lot. Now, Eye of the Beholder says there's a lot of buying pressure. I think so, but again, I'd want to see the volume match that. Like, for example, what did I just touch? I just moved something. I think I can, yeah, there we go. I would have loved to see the high volume more come, and you kind of see it, but I would have loved to see the high volume more match these green candles and these green candles. Another thing that I'm seeing here, last thing I'm going to actually say about Bitcoin, I keep saying last thing, but this is the last thing I promise, and then we're going to throw it to T-Shroom, and we're going to cover some of these stories you need to know about. Let's go down. Yeah, let's stay here on the 4-hour chart. Yes. So this real bullishness kind of started back here on the 15th, 16th. The night of the 15th is when China started trading heavily. I want you guys to remember this. Every single pump we see here starts during hours that China trades. That's very, very important based off the stories we're going to cover here in just a little bit. But I want you guys to see we are slowing down our momentum of explosiveness. If we come back here, we're talking about this actually kind of started in the middle of the day, but the real meat and potatoes happened during China hours. We saw a push up of 11.87%. Very explosive rally that day. Of course, some of this was based off of fake news, but that's still a very explosive push. Then here we give it a day, and then we had another strong push. And this push, we made a push all the way up here to 7.54%. So not as bullish as maybe the other day, but hey, that's really hard to beat it out. 11% is a lot. 7%, that's still a very impressive push. Then we come here a couple of days later. We make another strong push when? During the time of Chinese trading hours, and we see a rally all the way up here of about 4.26%. Now, this current rally we're under is not over, but as it stands right now, when it started kind of getting explosive here, let's go to the hourly chart so we can see this kind of got explosive right down here. I'm going to even give it the benefit of the doubt and go all the way down to the bottom of this red wick. We have an explosive rally here of about 3.2%. What am I kind of measuring here, guys? Yes, we keep moving to the upside, but you can see the explosiveness of these rallies is slowing down, which means the bulls are still pushing. They're still going. The bears are not winning the battle, but it does seem like the bull pushes keep getting less and less, and they're getting a little more tired. That's another thing to keep an eye on when you're looking at momentum waves of bullish pushes. Now, we're probably not done looking at the Bitcoin chart. We're probably going to address it again, keep an eye on it throughout the show, but there's some stories, both bullish and bearish, we want to make sure we bring to your attention. I've seen a couple of these done on other shows. Some of them I have seen people kind of stay away from. They don't want to talk about it on a day where everyone wants to feel bullish. Well, guys, here at Investing Bros, we pride ourselves that we don't tell you what you want to hear. We tell you what you need to hear. And occasionally, occasionally our takes were wrong, and we own it when we're wrong. But we want to make sure that you're getting diverse opinions and you're not just hearing all bullishness or all bearishness. You need to have a complete picture of what's happening outside of the charts so that you can better understand what you are seeing on those charts. So T Shroom, let's go ahead and dive into some of those headlines and whatever you want to go with. I know there's a couple of them, a lot of them actually. We'll kind of breeze through them, discuss them as we need to, but go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. And there's a mix of bullish and bearish here, and then just kind of neutral, interesting. And we'll start with the neutral, interesting, actually. Here, will the SEC approve a Bitcoin ETF? Let's hear what Hester Pierce had to say. She's a commissioner of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Here she is.
And I can't say whether or not the commission is ready to approve a Bitcoin exchange traded product. I've been thinking we should approve one for the last 5 years. So the logic for why we haven't has always mystified me. The court case obviously is an important factor in the landscape, but I can't guess as to my colleagues' approach to this topic. And I can't.
There you go. So, Tim, this is the latest from Hester Pierce. I have a take on this, but what does this make you think of here?
You know, I've seen a lot of people showing this article or showing that clip and kind of almost acting like it's bullish, but let's kind of break down some of the things that she discussed here. Mm-hmm. She said, I'm mystified. I thought we should have approved one 5 years ago. I don't know what my colleagues are doing. Does that not convey, just stay with me here, does that not convey that there obviously is something happening behind the scenes that are keeping her colleagues from hitting approval? Like there's no real good reason to not approve. So there's got to be something else keeping Gary Gensler and the rest of the SEC from voting yes on these things. And of course, the other day we heard Gary Gensler kind of said, like, we're not against any time clock. We're going to take our very sweet time. He's not going to come out and say, I don't want to approve it. But when you look at the man's actions and the timeliness of how he acts, one's got to believe. I do think one's going to be approved. I don't want people to misconvey what I'm saying and saying Tim thinks that we're not going to get one. I think there's going to become a point where the courts literally force him and say, you have no reason whatsoever. You have to approve it. But I see my man Gary Gensler pushing it all the way to that date and not approving it one day sooner. The second thing she says, now remember, I don't know if you have these other articles about this, but we've recently heard from Brian Armstrong, from Stanley Morgan, from JP Morgan, from others, a bunch of people coming out and saying, oh, done deal. ETFs are coming out. It's a sure thing. Probably happening by January, maybe a little sooner. I think John Deaton has chimed in, the lawyer from the XRP case with the SEC. A lot of people coming out and saying, hey, guys, we're going to get one. It's like 100%. That's not what she said. And she has every incentive to want these to come out. She really wants to see not only these ETFs come out, she wants to see regulation that makes sense, that allows people to be free in trading in crypto. She says, I have no idea what they're going to say. I cannot tell you with certainty. Like maybe everybody else out here that's outside of the SEC boardrooms is saying they're sure one's going to come. But I'm sitting in there during the meetings and I have no idea. To me, again, I'm looking at those two statements that she made and I'm sitting here saying, Gary is delaying every single second he can. Why? Is it his relationships with Auntie Beth, a.k.a. Elizabeth Warren? Is it relationships with Joe Biden? Is it relationships with somebody else? What is happening? Are they waiting for another exchange like a former FTX that, of course, fell apart? And then this most recent one, I can't remember the name of it, but no one bought that. Is he waiting for another exchange to come in to justify his attacks of Binance and Coinbase and Binance.us and Kraken and others? I don't know what he's delaying for, but what I do get from this speech that she gave, Hester Pierce, it's that he's delaying and she has no idea what's about to happen.
All right, so here's my take. I think that's a great take, Tim. My take is something that we reported on, and I was adamant about reporting it last week, and that is this. That is this headline from the BBC, who are the Republican candidates to be U.S. House Speaker. Boom, boom. Guess who's on the front image of that? It's Tom Emmer. And then if you search right now in America, Speaker of the House, Axios, who is Tom Emmer, Republican contender for House Speaker, and then the rest are neutral. There's no other names in these search results. Now, this isn't like the end-all, be-all that Tom Emmer is going to win, right? But according to kind of these Google search results, he is a serious front-runner, right? Mm-hmm. So when I see this clip here of Hester Pierce, I think she's saying a lot less about the actual ETF. She's saying more, hey, Congress, when you fire Gary, pick me. Pick me to be the commissioner. So
I think you might be right about that. Yeah.
so that's kind of my take here. Is it's a neutral stance, right? She's not really giving anybody anything new. I don't think this is a one way or the other on the ETF. This is more of just like a, hey, when it's looking like somebody's going to get in there that's going to fire Gary. Just here's my application. Boom, I'm on Squawk Box. America likes me. So anyway, that's my take. We're going to move on.
Well, we just had some breaking news. So Bedridden put it in chat. Tim just in. Judge orders SEC to re-review Grayscale's bid for spot ETF. Now, when I read that, I was like, okay, that could be bullish. Maybe we see it go sooner. Come over here. And this is Forex Live. I'm sure other sources are going to come out about this, everybody. So this is just what I found first off. It's like Bitcoin's up. It sounds like a done deal. It sounds like a done deal. Though the courts sending it back to the SEC slows it down a tad. Now, they're not ordering them. Let's be very clear here, guys. The courts are not ordering SEC to approve. They're simply ordering them to re-review, meaning they get to start their process. I don't know if they get to start it over and they still don't have to give an answer by January 10th, but this is not a mandate saying you need to give an answer today. You need to give a reason why. They're just saying, hey, we're ordering you, re-review it. Guess what Gary's going to do? He's going to drag his feet. This even says right here, it sounds like a done deal, and this sounds like it's bullish, but this actually will allow the SEC to am I not allowed to highlight in this area? Slow it down a tad. The courts are not going to force them to do this. While this sounds like bullish news, it's not. It's continuation of what we knew, that Gary Gensler is just dragging his feet. I know you said you might have found something else, or we can go ahead and move on with the stories. I don't think we're going to find anything more than what we kind of just broke down right here. I think this is it's just breaking news. Hey, courts ordering the SEC to re-review. Yeah. It's not bullish like some people are going to think it is.
Yeah, no, just corroborating it. I mean, you have a couple other headlines that are similar within the last couple of minutes. Cointelegraph, although these days, U.S. court issues mandate for Grayscale ruling, paving path for SEC to review spot Bitcoin ETF. Grayscale court victory over SEC and spot Bitcoin ETF case made final. CoinDesk and Cointelegraph. So it's cemented. And Tim, I think your take on that is good. Don't need to say much more about that. China, the Chinese narrative has taken a little bit of a turn here. Last week we saw a more of a freezing direction rather than a thawing. And this week, it's looking like we're going to be seeing more of that. China's central bank to resolutely curb crypto speculation, Hong Kong updates regulation. So from Hong Kong and from mainland China, you're seeing this narrative move in the same direction towards freezing. Doesn't mean that that's going to be the last of the news here. I think this is just a moment in time. But Pan Gangshen, I'm sure you guys all know him and love him and all of his great policies. He said the agency will severely crack down on illegal financial activities such as cryptocurrency transactions in the country. Local media reported on Saturday. Hong Kong regulators announced restrictions on retail access to certain complex digital asset products. So the big key here is mainland China, Hong Kong, kind of in lockstep here with a anti-thaw towards crypto move, which is, bearish in the narrative overall. But like I said, it's just one note in the overall orchestra here of what is going to end up happening in the Chinese relationship with crypto regulation.
Let's make this a little more interesting because, again, there's not a lot of people talking about this right now. There's not a lot of people talking about this headline that China is working to make it harder to restrict Chinese buyers of cryptocurrencies. Go to my screen here real quick, T-Shroom. Let's walk back through this, guys. This is 2019. You guys know that I've compared this most recent pump kind of similar to what happened in October of 2019, right? Guess why this pumped back then? It pumped because the president of China made very favorable remarks about Bitcoin, right? So this is the week of October 21st, 2019. Remember that date, October 21st, 2019. The Chinese president, bullish on Bitcoin, bullish on crypto. Now you move over here. We have a big red candle that brings us down to the low of, of course, it wasn't the COVID dip, but the low of what we had that year. And I was looking through news of what was happening. And this is an article written from the 24th of November, I do believe, to say the date. I think it's the 24th of November, which corresponds with this candle. The end of this candle will be the 24th. And this is what the news was in China. Or if it says, like, anyone who's wondering why the prices are dipping, Z, that's the president of China's bullish sentiment on crypto around a month ago was overhyped. Prices are crashing because China is clamping down on crypto yet again. So back here in 2019, in a very similar type of move, we see China pump the price of Bitcoin in late October. And then a month later, month and a half or so, here in November, it's about a month later, we see China turning tail, making it harder and pretty much saying, hey, guys, we were wrong. We were talking a little bit out of our butt. We need to restrict crypto once again. We need to restrict Bitcoin. And we had our nice little plunge in November and December of 2019. You move forward to right now. What do we have more recently? We've been seeing throughout all of these pumps. We talked about it earlier. These pumps are happening when? During Chinese trading hours. What also has happened here about a couple of weeks ago, we saw China kind of come out and say, hey, Bitcoin's a very interesting product. It's very interesting. We actually probably need to utilize it more. And then, of course, today, the article that T-Shroom just read, China's central bank to resolutely curb crypto speculation, talks about stricter regulations and cracking down on retail investors investing. Guess what that means? It just means the institutions get to invest. Guess what institutions do when they invest in products? They manipulate price so they can get the best deals. My point here, let's go back to Brocam, T-Shroom. Do not neglect the coincidence here of the timing of the markets within the 4-year cycle, China's hand in manipulating price. And again, this is happening. Bitcoin is still slightly moving upside. We're hovering at 31,200 right now. We're not getting above that 31.8, but we're kind of flirting with the concept. We're really close to breaking up and setting new highs for the year. But no matter what happens, a pullback is going to come of some kind. Why? Because yes, institutions right now, they're seeing it. We're seeing this printed left and right in the news that Bitcoin is bullish. It's going to have a very bullish bull market. Guys, I believe there's actually an outside chance this is the most explosive bull market Bitcoin's had, not necessarily in terms of gaining of X. Like, I don't think we're going to see, 1,000% increase like we've seen in previous bull markets. But in terms of the amount of money that comes in, I think that a lot of people's predictions for how much money will be coming into Bitcoin is low. We could see an astronomical amount of trillions of dollars coming into Bitcoin, which is why people are so excited about it. And you should be excited about it. Mm-hmm. But don't be fooled by the way institutions move, where they fool you to the top, they sell it off so they can gobble more supply because they see the demand. And when institutions miss the boat, like we could have just bought at 25,000 here about a month and some change ago, right? Back on September 11th, we could have bought below 25,000. Well, now that these others are waking up, when the institutions miss the boat, they bring the boat back. Again, is that 25,000? Is it lower? I don't know. I think a lot of that does have to do with how high we can pump in the current little rally we're in. But we did see momentum slowing down. We're seeing the reversal signals coming on the charts. You have to start looking for, if you haven't taken profit, good for you. But in my personal opinion, if I didn't take some profit the other day, me and T-Shroom both took some profit, I would be taking profit right now. That's just who I am. That's how I would be acting right now, because I'm very certain that I'm at least going to be able to buy at 27,000. I still am certain I'm going to be able to buy at 25,000. And technically speaking, with the Head and Shoulders still being intact, I think there might be some purchasing that could happen below 25,000. We have to kind of wait to see what the next couple of days looks like. But if you think that it's nothing but up and to the right from here and we will have no more pullbacks, I'm sorry, that's not how the markets move, and that's not how the situation that's playing out right now, that's not how the news moves at all. But they're going to fool you. They're going to make you they're going to convince you with every fiber of your being, I missed out. I have to jump in now. Otherwise, I'll miss out on our way to 40K. And that's how they get you. Eric Wallen says, I think Tim missed a lot of boats as a childhood trauma. I don't know if I missed too many boats. To be honest, like, I'm not scared of water or anything. I can swim. I swam like a 3-year-old. I'm not a big water guy. Like, going out on boats, going to the beach. I guess if it's like stupid hot outside, cooling off in a pool isn't bad, but not a huge boat guy.
Yeah, Shane O said, shout out from South Africa. Good to see you guys. I'm gonna try it out. Good to see you guys up at. No, I can't do it. Up
that was like Norwegian.
Yeah. They sound like Australian, but it's like more like
lots
of confluence at 20,000, but this ETF news seems to be pushing all that out the door. So I think that's exactly our mantra here at the Investing Bros. Is like, we were kind of thinking it's going lower, but it's Bitcoin, guys. That's the thing, is Bitcoin, while it is predictable in some way, while it's one of the most predictable cryptos, it's still a crypto, right? So we shall see. I'm far from giving up hope that we're going to go lower and have the opportunity to buy lower. I think that that's still very much in the cards. But this ETF, you're absolutely right, has definitely woken up the bulls, as Tim
Can
said.
I say one more thing about the ETF though? Here's the
I'd
thing,
rather
guys.
you not, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Oh, you're gonna do it anyway. Okay.
This is how you guys need to view these ETFs and the pumps that will come around the timeline of the ETFs. We are either going to drop before the ETF approval and then rally on the news, or we're going to continue to stay this high until we get approval, and then there's going to be a dip right after it gets approval. So, like, a dip is going to come. I can't say that with 100% certainty, but I say that with a high amount of certainty. There will be a correction in price. The question is, does it happen before the ETFs are approved, and then when they do get approved, the high demand brings us back, or do they happen right as it's approved, and then the manipulation brings the price down? So you got to continue to use your brain and think through. Look at how things have moved in the past. Look at how price action happens in the past. Continue to think about that moving forward, and you'll be in good hands. Now, the other thing I'll say, T-Shroom, is anyone who just wants to buy Bitcoin for the next bull market, $31,000 in the grand scheme of things is still a great buy.
Oh,
it's not as good as 25,000, but it's still when we're talking about 150K to 200K, maybe higher. 31,000 is a great buy. So if you guys are sitting here saying, I just need to get more Bitcoin and I'm not willing to wait, hey, listen, do what you need to do. Just realize if you think there's no chance that we're going to get lower prices and it's nothing but up from here, just zoom out and study your history. There is.
If you've ever emailed me, I was going to share my screen for this, but I'm not going to. If you've ever emailed me, you'll know that in my email signature, it says buy Bitcoin under 50K while you still can, not financial advice. So I always put that in there because it's true. I mean, 50K, we think of it as like, oh, that would be crazy to get there. It's like, well, because we're a lot of us are day traders, right? But in the grand scheme of things, 50K is a nice entry point. And of course, where we are now is a decent entry point. All right, let's keep going here, guys. We've actually got.
Real quick,
you've actually got a thought that you want to share with the audience. Go ahead, Tim.
We need to because we have 109 people now in here.
Okay.
But what are the likes at? I don't think we're at 100 likes. We're at 46 likes. Go ahead and smash that like button, everybody. Thank you to everyone who is in here. I'm hoping you're getting a lot out of the stream. Subscribe if you're not subscribed as well.
That's right. Gina Bina said, can't hurt to DCA.
No,
also can't hurt to smash the likes.
No, not at all. So, I've never heard of any injuries from smashing the like button.
You know what? Now that I come to think about it, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Maybe some emotional injuries, but Bitcoin Lightning Network faces storm as developer exits over security concerns. I covered it this morning in the 9 a.m. stream, which went pretty well, by the way, Tim.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and I read this article. I did a little research on it. This one, look, the details are all super technical, right? So it's not like I'm going to be able to say anything that is going to be very clarifying for you all. Get a comp sci degree, and then you can understand it better than I can. But in summary, this kind of has a little bit of infighting fishiness to me. It's one thing to point out something that like there's a weakness with a vulnerability, right, with the Lightning Network. It's one thing to do that, and then it's another thing to leave the company because of that. It's like, if I was on a football team, and they wouldn't run my play. Right, it's like this is the T-Shroom play. We're gonna win. They just won't run it, right? I might eventually be like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. That's one solution, right? To my problem there. So that's kind of the way that I'm seeing this as of now. But I could be very, very wrong. I think the real people who know what's going on here are in the Lightning Network. And what I don't like to see is that there's been very zero reference to this incident. On their Twitter, they've failed to really respond to it, which tells me that there's not a technical response, because this is a technical issue, right? If it exists, and there would be some kind of technical response. So what that means to me is it's not a technical issue; it's a personnel issue, or some kind of emotional, or some kind of thing like that, or some kind of issue that isn't just tweetable, right? Hey, this is the problem. We're solving it. Sorry, whatever. It's just nothing, which means, well, it could mean a lot of things, but to me, it means, this guy's kind of, he's got his issues, right? And we don't know what to do or say that's going to help the public
be
better
feels.
educated. Yeah, and of course, there is a chance that this guy is 100% correct. I keep referring to him as this guy, Anton Ryard. He does have he's a legit developer from all indications. And there is a chance that what his concerns could be very bad, right? There could be a major vulnerability in the number one layer 2 for Bitcoin, which would be very, very bad, right? So anyway, he could also be short. There's also that possibility. Okay.
True.
Moving
Well, you know
on.
what we haven't done, T-shirt.
The factoid.
We have not done the factoid.
We need to get in there. Let's do it. Before we get into this bullish story here, let's get into the factoid of the day. Which of the following is not a fruit? Tomato, grape, avocado, watermelon, or what is this? That's not supposed to be in there. Factoid elf. Come on. So those are the ones you have to choose from, Tim. Which of the following is not a fruit?
This is a good one. By the way, Crypto Trade said, smash the like, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. Yeah, we have a free Discord and a paid Discord. You guys can check that out in the link below. All welcome, outstanding community. Say my name, Tim. I just did. Crypto Trades. He's one of the good faithful over there.
Yeah,
we love Crypto Trades. Let's back to this question. So here's my thinking. So tomato. This is easy to say it's right because it is a fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the common misunderstanding. But the definition of a fruit, T-Shroom, is, I don't know the technical definition. It pretty much has seeds in it. Anything that has seeds within it has the shell. It has it's like the flower or whatever, and then it has seeds in it. That's a fruit.
Okay.
So watermelon has seeds in it.
Okay.
Watermelon is a fruit. An avocado has a seed in it.
Okay.
So that's a fruit. And I swear I've had a grape with a seed in it, but now that I'm thinking about it, the grape might be the seed. I know most grapes don't have it. So I'm going to go on a limb here and say it's B. It's a grape. Because an avocado, unless they're going to say like a peach or a plum isn't one, but an avocado is in the same family as a peach and a plum. It has the pit. And the pit is the seed you grow from out of the pit. I don't think you can crack open a grape and grow a grape. There's no seeds in there. So I think the answer has to be B. Wait, Jen Murphy is saying avocado has a pit, not a fruit. Wait, so are plums and peaches not fruits? I'm still going to stick with grapes. There are seeds in some grapes. There are. Oh, this is rough. It's definitely B or C, but now they got me going. They got me going on what I think it is.
Eric said a fruit is something Tim does not touch. How do you feel about that? He called you unhealthy, Tim. Do you feel like you're unhealthy?
Fruits. I eat a lot of strawberries and blueberries.
Bedridden said tomato is a fruit, like technically, but everybody knows it's not.
Yeah.
Can't
wait,
agree more.
a pit doesn't count because you definitely grow it. Huh. I'm gonna roll with grape anyway.
Grape anyway. He's locking it in, folks. Grape. Well, we'll come back to that. Let's keep rocking through these stories here, guys. We've heard about China. We've heard about Hester Pierce trying to get the top job at the SEC. And now we're going to hang out and check out Morgan Stanley predicts bull run after crypto winter. Or as Tim says, Stanley Morgan. You said that in the intro, which was funny. We're all having fun. So Morgan Stanley's wealth management division has released a report titled Will Crypto Spring Ever Come? Which also kind of sounds like a Taylor Swift song, if you ask me. If Taylor went full green orange pill, she might have something like that. Man, honestly, that would be a good use of AI to write an album, a pro Bitcoin album by
that would
Taylor
be pretty
Swift.
good.
So anyway, I don't know that we need to get into this. If you want to watch, go back and watch our morning stream where I do break this down. I go into it and I give my take. And I mean, it's accurate. You know, these people aren't going to publish something that's like stupid. You know, it all makes sense and it's interesting and it's pro crypto ultimately. The big news here, the reason why we're running it is because it's Morgan Stanley, right? This is a $1 trillion, $1.3 trillion under management, assets under management firm, and they're not messing around, right? They don't do things to be silly or to get a laugh, right? This is a serious investment that they're looking into for at a big rate. So, Tim, I mean, is there anything really to say about this other than it's pretty darn bullish?
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about like the bullish side. Brian Armstrong is saying it's a super bullish thing. That it's just a sure thing that's going to happen. You know, we have people coming out and again saying, hey, like they're probably going to approve all of them at the same time. Which, by the way, is another thing. I don't know if you guys remember the story. I think we covered it briefly the other day, last week. That we saw BlackRock refile their ETF, and they included language that had to do with competition. They wanted to embrace. They understand there's going to be a competition here. That was something that in one of his speeches last week, Gary Gensler said was a big deal. They want there to be an even playing field. They don't want there to be competition. So that was one of their reasons beforehand to kind of delay them all. I think we're going to see maybe not all. I think there's like 8 to 10. But I'm going to say at least 5. When we see one come out, we're going to see at least 5 of them, because Gary Gensler has made that clear. One of his things is he wants there to be open competition, which is why you see Fidelity and BlackRock reword their stuff. So
you can get it wrong as long as it's fair.
Pretty much. And again, I still think Gary's going to hold it off to the last day possible, which, at this point I think is January 10th. So I think I would not be surprised to see January 10th be the day that we get our first Bitcoin ETFs, spot
That's
ETFs.
Right. That's right. Well, the other thing to kind of take a step back here, you have the China news, right? You have the Lightning Network, like, ooh, what's going on? It's spooky, well, they're without Lightning Network, you basically don't have a scalable Bitcoin. You have the Morgan Stanley just kind of running a random report that's like pretty bullish, right? You have to remember, like, this is a pivotal moment. Have they been sitting? Have these entities, these institutions, whether they be the Chinese government, Morgan Stanley, Lightning Network, this guy working at Lightning Network, have they been sitting on these headlines until a major, move in Bitcoin that they think they can influence? That's also something to consider, right? These people, more than likely, these institutions, people more than likely have Bitcoin positions one way or the other, whether they're short or long the asset, right? So it's always something to consider, kind of the timing of when these headlines come out. Because there's been, in case you haven't noticed, there's been a dearth of news here in the crypto space. There's been lots of little things happening for sure, to get excited about. But in terms of price moving headlines, there really hasn't been a whole lot outside of the ETF space. And it kind of makes sense, right? Because you have the SBF trial to compete with, and that's just going to make your ads a little more expensive if you're trying to run a marketing campaign on, say, a new product. If you're Coinbase trying to roll out some kind of new staking thing for banks or something, something that would be really bullish, right? You're going to have to compete more with the SBF trial. You might as well wait also for the ETFs to come out. So, that's kind of my take up and down on just the markets in general, kind of here as we wind down. Tim, you ready to get into some TA of some altcoins?
Well, let's find out what's not a fruit first.
You want to do that?
Let's because again, Dave Digital came in and said that Google says they're all fruits. So we know that if Google says it, then it's true. But what does the elf think a fruit is not?
Okay. Speaking of Google, we could take a look at the TradFi markets too. There's some interesting goings-ons over there, including the 10-year reaching a 5% interest rate for the first time in a while. So let's take a look here. Which of the following is not a fruit?
Yeah, you're not on your screen, by the way.
Watermelon.
You're not on your screen.
D. Okay. Watermelon is the answer, and I have all I need to prove it here. A grape is a fruit. Google. Okay. Avocado, fruit. The avocado fruit is a climacentric. I don't know what that means.
Climateric?
Single seed berry. Avocado is a berry. So anybody who disagrees can take it up with wikipedia.org.
Avocado berries is what we should start calling them.
That's right. And then finally, you have
the watermelon.
The watermelon is the state vegetable of Oklahoma. See, you thought that the tomato was the controversial fruit. No. The watermelon is the state
that
vegetable.
Kind of low-key makes me upset. What the heck? Why does a watermelon count as a vegetable?
Look, I'm not here to make the laws. I just report them.
See, go back to the article because it clarifies other things. It says gourds, squash, cucumbers. I would classify all of those as technically being fruits. Technically being fruits because they have seeds in them. And then you take those seeds out and you can regrow with those said seeds.
Well, Tim, this is why you don't work for Big Vegetable. You'll never be a lobbyist in Washington for Big Cucumber. You'll just never will be.
I've never agreed with a sentence you've said more.
Maybe for Baby Carrot.
No. That's a root. A carrot is a root.
Is it?
That I know. Yeah.
It seems like the quintessential vegetable to me, just like the tomato. There's like all of what these different fruits and vegetables identify as, and then there's what everybody knows they are. If it's going in a soup, it's a vegetable. That's my standard.
Here's the thing. Everyone needs to smash the like button more than they have already, because what other crypto channels are you guys going to that you're learning more about fruits? Sometimes we talk about marriages and weddings, and you learn everything you need to know about those as well here. And occasionally we discuss crypto.
Yeah.
So you guys should smash those like buttons. Well, yeah, T-Shirt, I'm actually very interested in the stock market. We have some altcoins we can look at as well, because the markets have been moving well today. But I want to look at those 10-year treasury yields. Also, trending today, there was the two words Black Monday, of course, talking about some fear in the stock market. What is happening with those? I know there was a lot of companies giving out some reports, and there's fears that those weren't going to go well. But I'm looking at charts, and as it stands right now, the stock market's not necessarily a massive green day, but it's not a massive red day either. Yep. What's going on in the stock world today?
Let's take a look at the stock world here, Tim. It's green across the screen for the mega caps. AMD is down 1.5, but NVIDIA rocking out at 3.7 to the upside. Meta up almost 2%. Google up. Apple actually kind of anemic gains on the day. But if you scroll all the way up to the NASDAQ, it's barely green, right? It's only up 0.5. S&P Dow Jones down. What is that telling you? That tells you that this narrative that's been happening all through 2023 of these mega cap tech stocks, the Significant Seven or whatever they're called, Magnificent Seven, they're really the ones leading the market. And it definitely seems to be true. If you zoom out, I've got the NASDAQ here. And as you can see, it has been in this kind of this downtrend here. And it's testing the dynamic reactor here on the daily from Chart Prime. And chances are it's got some higher sell volume here, but chances are it's just going to come right back up and test a little bit higher, right? Because ultimately we're in a holding pattern to see what the heck the Fed does. Are they going to make the credit environment more or less restrictive? Am I going to be able to take out a big loan and grow my business or not? Am I going to have to lay off workers and they go home and cry, right? That's the question the market's asking. And they're not getting an answer, thus the sideways movement. But these mega cap tech stocks are all positioned, they're all jockeying for investment into AI. Not all of them, I shouldn't say, but Tesla, it's a compelling AI name. Amazon, same thing. All of these names are compelling AI names. And Apple is actually trailing the market on that. Apple. They have announced that they're going to be producing an AI chip, but they're late to the game. They also have the most money, though, to try to catch up. So, my bet on the company that's going to make the most money is actually Amazon, because they've been producing AI chips since 2018 was their first shipped prototype there. So, all they have to do is hit the pedal to the metal on a process they've already had. So when it comes to the equities, I think there's a lot to get excited about, to quote Mark Zuckerberg about the metaverse. But right now, it's all about the 10-year, and if we can find that in my hodgepodge here of, there we go. So the 10-year here, 4.8. So it has gone up and it's come back down intraday. It's actually down 1.3 today, but that did hit 5%, right? And you can see the 20 and the 30-year here, goodness gracious, 5.2 on the 20-year. Still an inverted yield curve. Despite it all, you still have those early dated bonds still coming in higher than
what does this mean? Bonds. What does this mean for people, Tishu, when we see the lower time frames higher? When we see a higher percentage for the lower time frames than the longer time frames, what does that mean?
It just means that there's a perversion, there's a distortion in the bond market. The yield curve is inverted. But it's almost not. That's the thing, is that the yield curve is healing, meaning that there's an appropriate valuation of bonds, and the current to future values of bonds are starting to heal, which is good. That's good for an economy. But how high these yields are just in general across the board, that is going to it signals two things. It signals, A, as Piper was talking about on his show, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, is that it means that people are selling bonds, right? Yeah. People are selling bonds, and that's why you're actually seeing the Dixie being able to hold on to some of the levels it's been able to run through with since July, right? Is because people are selling their bonds and going back into dollars and probably holding on the sidelines before they see what the Fed's going to do, right? Obviously, all roads lead back to the Fed in terms of what is going to happen here in these asset markets.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I know. Go to my screen real quick. We didn't mention this early on because it's still till Thursday, so we have to wait till Thursday. But we will get here in the United States. We will get our GDP rate quarter over quarter. Expectations between 4.2% and 4% after last quarter was 2.1%. So could be interesting. We could see the economy go up, but we'll have to wait and see how that one looks. Remember though, the better the economy is doing, the more pressure that could potentially, we don't get inflation numbers anytime soon, but if the economy is doing well and inflation doesn't continue to behave itself, according to Jerome Powell, that would give him everything he needs to go ahead and raise rates at least one more time. So
good news is bad news.
Yeah, it's like up and down with how we're going to kind of process this stuff. But let's go back over here. We have a couple of minutes left here on the show, so go ahead and put some questions in here. Dave Digital said, Tim, you were robbed. I have strong evidence that T-Shroom was complicit. Trust no one.
In what? Complicit in what?
I am going to need to see the evidence that Dave Digital has. You're innocent until proven guilty, T-Shroom, but if I find out you've been conspiring to trick me with this elf.
Oh. Yeah, I'm going to have hell to pay.
You're going to be in trouble, that's for sure. We're hovering right here now, 31,300. Again, not breaking it, not moving up, what we had earlier today. We're not breaking that high, but as we're looking at these lower time frames, let's take a look at here, guys. I never look down at these lower time frames. Things are just getting so interesting. Definitely developing bearish divergence here. Lower highs on the oscillators, higher highs on the price action. That is bearish divergences on these shorter time frames. But again, we've had bearish divergences back here on these lower time frames, and we regroup. We keep going to the upside. So at a certain point, there will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and this rally will cease, and then we'll have a pullback. But the question is, does it happen south of 31,800 or north of it? And that has a lot to do with what the future of other coins are going to do and what the future of Bitcoin is going to look like. Let's take a look at Cardano this morning, guys. Cardano, of course, breaking that support level here a couple of days ago. Not support level, resistance level. There's two levels I'm looking at here to keep your eyes on for Cardano. Daily chart oscillators not flashing overbought like we're seeing over on Bitcoin. We could potentially see, let me come back to Cardano here in a second, but 88 over Bitcoin chart, very overextended here on the daily chart, getting oversold flashes. We're starting over the last couple of days. We're moving a little bit back in the right direction. Cardano's picking up some more ground. Not today. Bitcoin has a nice little red candle today, so it's gaining some back, but you can see Cardano got that blue dot in the trend fusion, moving back over to it, even if Bitcoin starts to reject. I'm keeping my eyes on two different spots. There's a falling level of resistance. Come down, oscillators. There we go. There's a falling level of resistance with these two wicks back in August and October. I think I talked about it this morning during my technical analysis video this morning, which, by the way, guys, content you're going to get daily, an 8:30 technical analysis video from me where I'm going to cover more singular topics and technical analysis. Your daily news, a live show from T-Shroom at 9 o'clock, and then the bros, 3 p.m. We're all together, hour-long live show every single weekday. But there's that level right there. It's going to come in somewhere right around 27 cents. Going to be an interesting spot to watch. But when I pull up Market Oracle Pro, I'm also watching the 28-cent range. 28-cent range. I had a weird accent there. The dynamic reactor, which we have not been anywhere close to the dynamic reactor since all the way back in July. And a lot of times these things can work like magnets, and we're making a strong push. In fact, this is the closest we've been to it since all the way back here in July. Do we have a little bit more of a magnet again with seeing the 80 over Bitcoin chart looking like it could go bullish, with seeing the 88 chart saying we have room to move to the upside here on the daily? Could we see a push up to 28,000? That would be big for Cardano. Now, my only thing I'm sitting here looking at is, technically speaking, like I said, this 27-cent range, that's still a lower high on Cardano. I still feel, guys, again, this pullback, do not be surprised to see Cardano pull back down towards 24 cents or even go lower and still hit closer towards that 18-cent range. Let me go ahead and show you guys on a couple of these coins that are having some good days here more recently. This stuff happens this time of year in the 4-year cycle. Let's go back over here. You guys can see late October, Cardano starts a little bit of a rally here and then falls back to lower lows in November and even worse in December. I talked about it this morning, but I'm going to show you guys just in case you missed it. Go back and watch that video, though. It's still a good video that you guys will learn a lot from. Where are we going? Let's go log chart so we can see this more clearly. This is the Matic chart back here. Look what we did here. October, we had a little bit of rally, moved sideways. In November, we actually pumped, had a nice big pump on Matic, but within 2 days, lost every single one of those gains. Keep an eye out for there. And then what was another one? Chainlink, guys. Just moving crazily today. Let me show you the price right now. We're up. Right now, we're above $10, but we have cleared a very strong level of resistance here at $9.50. Watch out for that to potentially become strong support. But going back into its history, again, this is one of the most bullish coins, because look what it did during the time period that everything else was dropping. Look what it was doing in 2019. It set itself up a zone. It broke that zone, turned it into support, and really never went south of that again, even back in the COVID crash of 2020. More realistically, what I'm kind of looking at here, again, this September, we start to rally in October, and then we have this pullback November, December. We come down and hit, again, close to that support level in December. This has happened before in the altcoin and Bitcoin space, where we have the little rally. We don't necessarily go crazy highs here, but we have our little rally, and then we pull back down to key support levels. We're seeing the same thing happen with altcoins. But like I said, I still think, I think ones like Ethereum, we probably can still see lower lows than what we've seen more recently. Things like Cardano, we potentially can still see 24 cents. Chainlink is the one that I'm like, man, I think that it could potentially be on its way up and up, and the best you're going to get here on out is about 950. We're closing up here in just a couple of minutes, 356, but I'm watching Bitcoin just cleared the $31,400 range. It is making its push continually, guys. So just refusing to give up whatsoever here Bitcoin is. Let's see. We're going to get close to this line. We're not going to be live if it happens, when it happens, unless we see it happen in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But continue, everybody else. If you have TradingView, go put this line up there, 31,800, whatever. I mean, reality, go to whatever your high is back here in July of 2023. Put that line there and keep an eye on it. If we stay below, head and shoulders pattern is still very much intact, and we absolutely could still see ourselves fall down to 25,000 or even lower. But if we break that, it kind of changes the game, and potentially, even though I do think we'll pull back down below 30,000, potentially we'll never see 25,000 ever again.
Yeah.
T-Shroom, we're going to wrap in the stream up. Anything you have, kind of closing thoughts today?
I got to say this, man. Like, this is the news that nobody's talking about right now. It's this, like, if you search House Speaker, #1, New York Times, you open it up, I get my free read of the New York Times. I do not subscribe. Tom Emmer of Minnesota, right? Who are these Republicans? It's at Meet the Republicans running for Speaker. The first one, Tom Emmer. Doesn't mean he's going to win. BBC. Tom Emmer of Minnesota. First one, right?
Yeah.
For those of you who are newer to crypto, why does this matter? Who cares about the U.S. Congress? They're all a bunch of politicians, right? Well, Tom Emmer is very pro-Bitcoin. Is he pro some stuff that I probably don't agree with? Sure. Yeah, he is at the end of the day, more than likely. But he's one of the most pro-Bitcoin congressmen out there. Why does that matter? Because this woman right here could be potentially the next chairwoman of the SEC, right? If she plays her cards right and Tom Emmer is successful in ousting Gary Gensler, we could be looking at this woman running the SEC, right?
Nice.
They serve at the pleasure of Congress. So it's not out of the question. But Tim, I think that may be why, look, speculation upon speculation here, but that might be why we're seeing movement defying this head and shoulders pattern, is that the Congress, who never invest before the public know, they may know something now, and they may be tapping their husbands and wives saying, honey, hit up that human brokerage that GS uses. We need to make some plays here.
Don't hate. Listen, we're wrapping the show. Don't hate on GS. She's the best of us.
She is.
She has a human broker, and T-Shroom gives her a lot of flack for it. But it's a thing.
Do you think Nancy Pelosi uses a human broker? Or do you think she uses Robinhood?
I think Nancy Pelosi uses insider trading. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show for today. Guys, thank you to every single one of you. This was one of our higher concurrents more recently. Of course, we just recently moved to the 3 p.m. slot, but you guys come in every single day. I saw multiple people commenting some love and saying we're subscribing. So good to see you guys. So thank you to everybody. On your way out, if you have not already, smash that like button, hit subscribe. We will see you tomorrow morning. Again, TA at 8:30, live show for the news at 9 o'clock, and of course, the 3 p.m. daily live show. You guys have a fantastic day.
make paper, turn that batter to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that batter to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.